Amy Tarkanian, she joins us. She's a Republican strategist, former chair of the Nevada Republican Party. And once again, Amy, good morning to you. Staying up late over in the States, joining us to discuss another set of criminal charges being brought against Donald Trump, this time by the state of Georgia. Tell us what has happened overnight.
Sure. Well, there's something called RICO, which basically has to deal with racketeering, influence, and corruption organization. That's what it stands for. And so what's happening is he is being, it's assumed that he basically colluded with a number of other individuals. There's now 19 included in this indictment, and they all have to turn themselves in by August 25th. And to say either if they're guilty or not guilty of putting pressure on elected officials to change the election outcome, of harassing individuals, of tampering with machines in a particular county, of actually putting pressure also on the vice president to not certify the election, and also putting pressure on with a phone call to the Secretary of State of Georgia. The list is long.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, let's go through it. I mean,
98-page indictment.
Indeed. I mean, 41 counts. As you mentioned, Trump and 18 others. They include Rudy Giuliani, who was his personal lawyer. Also, of course, we knew him as a New York mayor. He's also the ex-White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, included in these charges. A lot of this was sparked by a phone call we knew about back in January 2021, a leaked phone call from Donald Trump asking Georgia's top election official at the time if they could find 11,780 votes. So it was a very lengthy phone call. They think, I need you to find me these votes, because basically it was such a tight race in Georgia. If you could find these extra votes, find, the word find, what does that mean? These extra votes that Donald Trump could win, he could win the election. Now, the crucial thing here is you mentioned these RICO charges, this racketeering. These were charges that were originally used for, to basically take on the mafia and other criminal organisations. They've been used against other people and other organisations as well. But this is where a lot of people are saying, look, oh, come on, this is politically motivated. Let's listen to what the Fulton County District Attorney, Forney Willis, had to say overnight when she said the grand jury had issued those arrest warrants for Donald Trump and his 18 co-defendants.
The defendants engaged in a criminal racketeering enterprise to overturn Georgia's presidential election result. As is the normal process in Georgia law, the grand jury issued arrest warrants for those who are charged. I am giving the defendants the opportunity to voluntarily surrender no later than noon on Friday, the 25th day of August, 2023.
Well, you say you have until Friday next week to appear in court to plead guilty or not guilty. Donald Trump, though, Amy Tarkanian has already issued a statement on his Truth Social media account saying, so the witch hunt continues. 19 people, he says, indicated tonight, I think he meant indicted, including the former president of the United States, me, by an out-of-control and very corrupt district attorney who campaigned and raised money on I will get Trump. Sounds rigged to me. Why didn't they indict 2.5 years ago? Because they wanted to do it right in the middle of my political campaign. Witch hunt, he cries. Is this a politically motivated witch hunt?
It's very hard to tell because there are certain parts of this new indictment that are in question. For example, the phone call. How you want to interpret that phone call could have been very easily a candidate who was in panic and in turmoil and basically saying, look, we're down, X amount of votes. If only we could find this many more. Now, the other problem, though, I have with this is where I think he very well may find himself in trouble is the colluding, so to speak, with the others and putting together the fake electors to change the outcome of the election. That I think is pretty clear cut. And then I think the fact, too, that, he is so quick to become defensive and to respond to these indictments and try to minimize this new DA and the judge. And by putting out, an email also attacking her and saying, well, she's trying to fundraise off of her new stardom, and this is going to help her in her reelection, when it's so hypocritical because he's fundraised after every time this has happened.
Yeah, I mean, and we know this is a highly politicized justice system. I mean, she certainly didn't dismiss the idea that these are politically motivated. Well, there's no doubt. Look, I've got a switchboard of people. I've got text message people saying, you know, this is this is clearly politically motivated. A question I put to our commentator Sam Armstrong earlier is, can these things be a perfectly legitimate charges to bring? I mean, again, I certainly didn't interpret that tape recording of the call he made to the senior election official in Georgia as, I wonder, wouldn't it be great if we could find some extra votes? He was telling him, find me an extra 11,780 votes. But can it be that? But also, it is politically motivated. The timing of this is crucial. Why were these charges not brought in 2021 or indeed in 2022? They're being brought now because he is neck and neck with Joe Biden in the polls and because he is the leading Republican candidate. Have we frozen?
Well,
Carry on.
Yeah, sorry, I thought you were talking to Sam. For example, from what I've understood is that this particular individual, this is either her 11th or 12th racketeering case. So she's not new to this topic. And she takes her job very seriously from what I understand, and that this was something that she just didn't want to slap together overnight. So she's been investigating this case and talking to a number of individuals this entire time. And I guess you could play devil's advocate. If they were to come forward with this immediately, you would hear complaints about that being rushed. If you were, to wait and do your job thoroughly, as supposedly she has done, we're still hearing complaints. Yeah. And so, I think it's a lose-lose situation in Trump world. We're just going to have to move forward and see what the jurors come up with and see actually who decides to plead guilty and not guilty in this
well, that's
group
interesting, isn't it? There are said to be some names who one would have expected, given the other 18 names involved, that aren't there, which suggests some are saying that there have been people who've been turned who are not being prosecuted because they're giving evidence against. That could be very serious. The other crucial fact here, of course, these are state charges, not federal charges. So no possibility if, and again, he has denied any wrongdoing and will be fighting these charges, we understand, along with the other, he's got 78 in total criminal charges he's fighting in various different jurisdictions. But if in the event that he were found guilty, if that did happen, there would not be the possibility of a presidential pardon. And certainly with these racketeering charges, we're looking at a minimum of 5 years, maximum of 20 years. And that could mean actually doing jail time if, and again, it is a big if, he were convicted.
That is all correct. And if he is found guilty, probation is also not an option. It is jail time. And so you're now looking at, somebody who's 77 years old, anywhere from 5 to 20 years, as you mentioned. I mean, that's the way he would end his life. And then also you're looking at somebody like Rudy Giuliani, who's even older than President Trump. He's 79 years old. I mean, this would be the end.
Yeah, absolutely extraordinary times. We shall see how this plays out. Thank you so much for joining us, Amy Tarkanian, a Republican strategist.